We're going live in 3, 2.
Unmuted.
This special meeting of the City of Socorro City Council is set to begin. First and foremost, the City of Socorro would like to thank everyone and ask for your patience during this difficult time we have been presented with. Everyone, please remember to silence any electronics to avoid sound interruption. No disruptive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to call disconnection and possible prosecution. In accordance with Section 418.016 of the Texas Government Code and by order of the Office of the Governor issued March 16, 2020, the City Council of the City of Socorro will broadcast the special meeting scheduled today, Thursday, May 26, 2020, at 6 p.m. from City Hall chambers located at 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, via telephone conference and live stream in order to advance the public health goal and practice social distancing to slow the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19. The public that signed up and any presenters will be called upon by the presiding officer during the meeting to speak during the public comment or their agenda item during the meeting following Government Code 551.042. La reunión especial del Concilio de la Ciudad de Socorro está por empezar. Primeramente queremos darles las gracias y pedimos su paciencia durante este momento crítico que enfrentamos. Favor de poner en silencio todo equipo electrónico para evitar interrupción de sonido. No se va a tolerar ningún tipo de comportamiento perjudicial o revoltoso. A quien no siga estas reglas, su llamada será desconectada y puede ser infraccionado. De acuerdo con sección 418.016 del Código del Gobierno de Texas y por orden de la Oficina del Gobernador anunciada el 16 de marzo de 2020, el Concilio de la Ciudad de Socorro transmitirá la reunión especial hoy, 26 de mayo de 2020 a las 6 p.m. desde la sala del Concilio localizada en 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, por medio de teléfono y será transmitida en vivo para tomar medidas preventivas para prevenir la propagación de la enfermedad del virus corona COVID-19 a los demás y por la seguridad del público. El público y los presentadores serán anunciados por el oficial conduciendo la reunión para poder hablar durante la sección de comentario público después de la discusión del artículo de la agenda por cual se apuntaron siguiendo las reglas del gobierno 551.042.
Six oh nine, the meeting is now called to order. Ms. Rodarte, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, establishment of quorum.
René Rodríguez,
Here.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Ralph Duran, Mayor Elia Garcia,
Here.
Victor Perez,
Here.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Item number 4, public comment.
We have no speakers for public comment, Mayor.
Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor, I just wanted to mention that Mr. Nevares did call earlier today to announce that he was working a little late and didn't know if he was going to be able to join a little bit later.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to item number 6.
Mayor, excuse me, let me take the vote for the consent agenda. René Rodríguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Here. Item number 6, discussion on action on approving a request to Apostle County to provide the city of Socorro funding made available through the CARES Act following Governor Abbott's May 11th, 2020 allotment plan to distribute funding for cities that did receive a direct allocation.
Motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We did talk about this last Thursday regarding a grant that we were not eligible for since the funding was given to the county. I do have Alejandra Valadez that will go over the specifications and how how Governor Abbott has given a plan on how these counties should distribute to municipalities that didn't directly receive the funding.
Ms. Mayela, if you can enable me to share my screen, please.
Okay, ma'am, go ahead and try now.
There we go. Okay. So briefly, again, Alejandra Valadez, Grants Coordinator for the City of Socorro. On May 11th, Governor Abbott did release a plan for distributing approximately $1.85 billion in CARES Act funding to local municipalities and counties that had not received a direct allocation yet. And this was targeting counties below 500,000 population and cities within those counties that had not received any funding yet. The plan put forth by Governor Abbott was to provide allocations to cities based on population at a $55 per capita allotment. So the way that it would work through this program is that cities and counties that had a population under 500,000 and had not received any funds could apply to the state to receive that allotment. They would receive 20% of their allocation based on population, and then they would receive the additional funds through a reimbursement process. Now, because the city of Socorro is within a county that has a population greater than 500,000 residents, we are not eligible to apply for this program through the state. And so the plan for governor, or the guidance that was provided by Governor Abbott's office, was to work with our county to receive our COVID-19 allocation, CARES Act allocation. And so that's what we're here for today. As I had explained in the previous meeting, this is one of the documents that is up on the Texas Coronavirus Relief Fund website, and it lists every municipality, the population that is used to calculate their $55 per capita allotment, and then the 20% of the allocation that they will receive directly. So as an example, we can look at Lufkin, Texas, has a population as of January 2019 of 37,000 residents. And based on that population, they would receive a $55 per capita allocation of $2 million. And they could apply to receive 20% of that allocation directly, and the rest of those $2 million would be dispersed through them through a reimbursement process. And the list is very, very long, but I just wanted to include some examples here, a couple of pages from that list. And then we followed their link to where they got their population estimates to calculate what would be our allocation. Now, as I said last time, this is part of the CARES Act funding that was passed by the federal government on March 27th, 2020. The city of Socorro did incur its first COVID-19 expense on March 13th. And if you recall, from March 13th through May 17th, 2020, we have expended approximately $83,000 in COVID-19 related expenses. Most of those expenditures are related to personal protective equipment, disinfectant supplies, and disinfection services to keep our employees and the public safe, and to limit further transmission of the virus. And then $31,000 are also related to payroll expenses such as wages, overtime, and hazard pay for those essential personnel that are still required to respond during this pandemic. As far as our projected COVID-19 expenses, as you recall, it's difficult to say how long this pandemic will last, whether there will be a second wave of cases in the fall, and whether this will extend through 2021. But based on what we've incurred so far, if the emergency is I guess better in June and we do not see any more cases, our cases decrease, then we might cap our expenses at $200,000. Or if it continues and there's a second wave and we continue this emergency through January 2021, we could see up to $900,000 in expenditures that again related to PPE, disinfectant supplies and disinfection services, and of course, costs for personnel. So at this time, as Governor Abbott, recommended, we would like to make a request to the county to receive that $55 per capita allocation to the city of Socorro, as per Governor Abbott's plan, as stated in his letter from May 11th, 2020. And I don't know if you have any questions regarding this information.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes. I just want to make sure that because you were scrolling down too quick, it said there that they were holding 45% of the money from the billions of dollars that the state was allocated from the federal money. So is that portion going to be divided up to us, or they're just going to keep it? Because in conversations, I believe that they're saying that they might give it to us directly. Is that any truth to that?
So the CARES Act specified that 45% of the total dollars that Texas received had to go to local municipalities and counties. So 45% of the 11 billion that Texas received had to go to local governments. So the way they did that is by population. They did a first round. They said let's give direct allocation to cities and counties 500,000 population or higher, and they did that. Now, out of the remaining funds, those are still the 45% that is remaining. They created that plan, the $55 per person that was released by Governor Abbott. But because we're in a county that are already received an allocation, Governor Abbott's letter states that cities like us, like Socorro, need to work with our county to receive our share of that CARES Act funding.
Okay, so in other words, we're not eligible out of those 45% that the state is holding because they already allocated the funding to the county.
Correct. Yes, we have to work with our county to get a share of that 45%.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know, just to make sure, because I don't want to be knocking at their door and saying, hey, we were requesting you to, because it is basically our funding. They got funded from our municipality numbers. So I just want to just clear that up. So they did get our portion, and
Right.
we're just asking for our share. Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Perez?
So then, I have a question. Is there a possibility that the county may actually deny this request, especially since we're using the formula that was provided in the guidance by the state for
Yes.
for request?
Yes, this is only a letter from Governor Abbott. It's a guidance, it's a guideline, but it is a number that they used in their calculations to distribute those funds to local municipalities like Socorro that have similar populations. So you can argue that based on our population, that population number was used to give funding to the county. City of Socorro's population was used to give money to the county. And so because they used the population in Socorro, then the city of Socorro should also request that allocation.
And just a follow-up question on that, Anna. With regard to other municipalities that, and I don't know if you even have this information, do you know of any municipalities that have been denied by the respective county?
I actually do not know. Since it was released on May 11th, cities like Socorro that are also fall under a large county are going through the same process as we are. So we're all learning as we go.
Mayor?
Mr. Arte?
So we do have meetings with our county judge on a weekly basis. And I do know the last time they requested for every municipality to submit our cost and how we're tracking that cost. And that information has already submitted to them. Right now, we just want to formalize and try to make it as an approach as we're applying for a grant based on the guidelines that Governor Abbott gave us, so we can go ahead and submit a packet to them requesting this, this funding.
Ms. Villalobos?
I have several questions, okay? I'm sorry, my phone is ringing. Um, so out of the 45%, out of the 45%, number one, how much, what are the numbers that we have of constituents in Socorro right now?
There's approximately, let me go ahead and if it's okay to share my screen so I can show you the numbers. Here we go. So in Socorro, as the January 1st, 2019 population estimate was 34,887.
Okay. Okay, and out of those 1,918,000, the government is stating, or Texas is stating that 45% has already been allocated to the county.
No, this 1.9 million was already allocated to the county. And that is part of the 45% that had to go to local cities and counties in Texas out of the 11 billion that were allocated to Texas.
So the county received $27.4 million direct allocation to them.
Yes. 1.9 million is based on Socorro's population.
Okay, and I'm sorry, and that's what I meant. I'm sorry. That 1.9 is Socorro's, the county received that, I mean, they received more, but they received that because of the population of Socorro, correct?
Yes, this is where it gets a little bit difficult because the $55 per capita allocation comes from Governor Abbott's plan. And so we are asking for them for that $1.9 million based on Governor Abbott's plan, in the same way that other cities the same size as Socorro are getting $55 per person.
So we are asking for 100% of whatever they receive from for the city, or I'm sorry,
So
for
now-
the population in Socorro, correct?
Yes, correct.
That's okay. Gotcha.
So
And
there's
we're
I'm sorry. So there's like a little bit of disconnect there, just because CARES Act gave out billions of dollars. Based on their information, they've went ahead and allocated funding to the county, gave them $27.4 million. Governor Abbott then says this is a plan on how these counties or these municipalities that did not receive direct allocation, this is what pertains to them, following these guidelines. And that's why we want to request to the county, based on what the guidelines the governor's giving us, that we believe that we should receive, based on the guidelines that Governor Abbott has placed, that we should receive that funding.
And we're requesting 100% of it, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then I think I heard Ms. Alejandra stating that there could be something about a time frame. They already have this money, is that correct? Or it's just allocated to them and accessible to them? When
It- They received a direct deposit, I believe, from the US Treasury. So they should already have this funding.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks for answering those questions.
Mr. Rodriguez?
So it's just very important to stress out that Commissioner Scout is planning to spend $5 million of that $27 million and give that money away to immigrants. Now, I don't have a problem with that. But when you're just going to allocate $5 million to just immigrants because they didn't receive any funding from the government on the first wave, then why are you spending taxpayer money and giving it to immigrants who didn't qualify and yet discard us from our money? And I believe that that portion of that money, if you're going to be giving it out to, then that's why we should request $1.9 million, because we're suffering like Horizon, San Elizario, Clint, Vinton, Anthony. So Socorro needs its portion as well. If Mr. Scott believes that he wants to do something good, then if he wants to be a philanthropist, it's easy to do it with everybody's money except his own. So, I think that we should go out and we should be proactive and ask for our fair share. And then whatever is left from that portion, then they can give it out and do whatever they want to do with it. But out of those $5 million, they should in turn give us our $1.9 million. That's what I say.
Mr. Perez?
Can't hear you.
Mr. Perez, you're on mute.
Sorry, I thought I had pressed it enough. I think that we should request the full allocation, because either way, we're still going to be accountable for how it's spent and the reporting that goes along with it. So anything that's not used will have to be returned, if I remember correctly. So at this point, do we need to, Jim, do we need to specify a dollar amount? Because I made the motion. Would I need to specify the dollar amount, or just the dollar amount based on the formula in the guidance from Governor Abbott?
No, you don't. I mean, I think you can if you choose. I think you do not need to, because you can just say the amount for which Socorro is eligible.
Ms. Villalobos?
I'm sorry, Mr. Rodriguez, where'd you get that information about the money that they want to allocate to the immigrants, sir?
It was in the county commissioner's court about 2 to 3 weeks ago. And Scout informed, he didn't bring it up to the public. He didn't want to bring an agenda item for it. He just had their administrator bring it up and say, oh, well, we're going to allocate $5 million, of which they were going to allocate that for immigrants. So the thing is that, and I want to reiterate that I have no problem if they want to be a philanthropist. It's easy to do it with public money. It's easy to do it with other people's money. But I'm a philanthropist too. I give out money too, okay, for my causes. But I don't force people, and I don't get money from Socorro and force and give it away. And I have a beef when in the conversations in county, and Judge Samaniego was there, and he allowed me to speak on that item. And I just said, hey, it's something wrong. It's why are you segregating a portion of the population in the county of El Paso? Because he just wants to give it and allocate money to immigrants, but not to the citizens of the county. So why is their fault that they didn't receive any money, and yet you want to segregate the rest of the population and just give it to a portion? If you want to give out money, you do it equally and across the board. And that's the issue that I had. And I said that that's very unfair. So my whole thing is that if you're going to do it with $5 million, well, that's our Socorro money. Horizon still has another $1 million that they were supposed to receive, and they didn't receive anything. San Elizario has another, over $500,000. If you crunch up the numbers, it racks up almost to $4.4 million. That's the $5 million that they received from every municipality that didn't get any money. And that is something that I feel that we're disrespected. And I think it's a slap in the face because it's our money. It's Vinton's, San Elizario, Socorro, Clint, Horizon, it's all that money. That's all that money that they're trying to give. It's all our money. And I think that we have to ask for our money because we know how to spend it, because we know what our expenditures are. The county has said it many times when we gave them the information. We have good, perfect records. And I want to thank my staff because you are doing very good job of keeping records of what our expenditures are. So once again, if they're going to give our money, we want to ask for it. And whatever is left, and if they want to be philanthropists, like I said, it's easy to do it with everybody else's money except your own. And that's a beef that I have with Commissioner Scout. So that's what my point is. If you rack up everybody that was left out in El Paso County, that's almost $5 million. That's $4.4 million that every municipality combined racks up. And that's the portion that they want to give out to immigrants.
Ms. Villalobos?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. My other question is, I'm assuming they notified what we can use this money for, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
there are very specific guidelines.
Okay, and we believe that we could possibly use all this money up or close to it?
It's really difficult to tell. We just don't know how it's going to develop. Even the pricing of, for example, masks, very widely, they could increase to $7 per mask, $15 per mask. You never know. And it could be just, like I said, $200,000 and it ends in June and we have a vaccine and everything goes back to normal, or it could be prolonged till 2021.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Duran?
I think we do need to ask for the full amount and stress that that money is not going to be just used on people that vote or anything like that. It's going to be used for all the citizens of Socorro, whether they're immigrants or not. And so that we're going to be used, that money will be used for immigrants because they do live in Socorro, and the money that we're using, that we're going to be using is basically going to be used for them also. So I think we do need to ask for the whole amount and do stress to them that immigrants do live in Socorro and they will be getting a portion of this money. Every single person that lives in Socorro will be getting a portion of this money. And it is very money that we're going to need to use to protect our staff, our citizens, our police department, everybody. So this deal of money going to immigrants, no, it is going to be going to immigrants because they live in Socorro. And so we should go after the full amount.
Well, to follow up with Mr. Rodriguez, the county had a special meeting today as well, and they're coming up with different programs to assist the residents. Today, they're coming up with several different guidelines to provide assistance for mortgage assistance or for rent. And so that is going to apply to everybody, but I think it's important for the city of Socorro to ask for a fair share. I think with our staff's help, we're able to allocate that money to expenditures that we already have included in the 200 to the 900. And if the situation becomes, back to normal, then we can also use that funding to direct assistance for our residents. But I think our staff would be able to make those decisions as the situation goes by. And so I think it is important for the city of Socorro to ask for the full amount and for us to decide how we're going to allocate it for our residents.
Madam Mayor, at this time, I'd like to go ahead and amend my motion to reflect that, to seek the entire funding that the city of Socorro is eligible for.
Mayor, I'm sorry, before you proceed, I also wanted to ask if we could carbon copy our state representative and any other representative that would be able to represent us at the state level when we're requesting this funding. That way, next time it comes around, maybe someone can advocate for us and us receive funding directly as opposed to it being sent to the county.
And also, at that point, then I'll ask in my motion to include that all pertinent state representatives be copied in any request for
Okay.
funding.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye. Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes, we shouldn't act like we're begging for this money because we're not. This is money that we shouldn't, that we should be just asking them to turn it over. Thank you, yes.
Mr. Martinez or Ms. Rodarte, do we have anything for item 7, 8, or 9?
I don't know.
No, ma'am, I don't.
Motion to delete?
Second.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Third.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
And we adjourn at 6:39.
Well, be safe.
Bye.
Right. It is. I